Hello and welcome back to Wood Hill Park once again. I've been up to a few bits of housekeeping really lately, not any big stuff. I just thought you may be interested. I think the cold's gone to my lips. It's a little bit colder up here than it has been. Anyway, I'll start this one again. Hello again and welcome back to Wood Hill Park. I've been up to a few odd bits and pieces trying to catch up with stuff I haven't done really. I built a few kits that I needed to do and I've been putting off for a while. As the weather is now chilling a bit, it can be a little bit chilly up here to work, so I've done these models elsewhere and I'll show you what I completed. Plus, I've been working on completing a mail train. I wanted to weather and improve a mail train that I had, adding old Lima coaches, some old Lima Govs that I've purchased and converted and sort of updated. So I'll show you what I've done with them. I had to go at a Prezzo kit, which was rather taxing, a scaffolding kit. And I've been putting it off for a while. I had a go doing a bit of it and I thought, crikey, this is like putting chopsticks together. But I carried on with it and I come up with a good result in the end, I think. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's a good bit of scaffolding that I can add to a building. Anyway, I won't waffle on anymore. It'll be a few bits and pieces really I'll be talking about. You know, a bit of weathering and the kits, as I said. Right. Here we go. Right, this is one of the Lima Govs that I've purchased. As the Backman Govs are extremely expensive, over twice the price. And the Lima model is not a bad model. So much that Hornby have taken it and improved a little bit on it, but it's pretty much still the same tooling. And what I've been doing is converting the bogies like I've done on a lot of my old stock. Let's see if I can hold it in front of the camera. But adding NIM pockets, 3D printed NIM pockets, so cutting off the coupling and carefully cutting away to allow these 3D pockets to be erudited in. I use quick drying erudite, and then you've got a pocket that you can remove wherever you want. I mean, I think that one might be glued in with a bit of Copydex because it's one of these magnetic couplings that didn't fit very well and broke off because they're a bit brittle. But if I show you one on this version, I'll pull it out carefully. As I say, they're very brittle, these hunk couplings, or at least the early ones I bought. They very easily break. If I pull the bogey off of that, you can see it's an in pocket that is 3D printed. And I think I've mentioned this guy who does it. Anyway, I did do an update on this quite a while back, maybe a year or two ago, and I'll try and look up the number of the update it was, and I'll put that on the screen right now. Anyway, I glued all that together, added in this case, you can add anything you like. You can have a small tension lock, you can have a KD coupling, anything that goes in a NIM pocket. So it does make it very versatile once you've done this. Anyway, you put, in my case, the magnetic coupling in there. Sometimes takes a little bit of furgling, as both 3D prints don't always marry up and fit. So, but the small tension locks fit no problem at all. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing to the bogey, as well as weathering the bogey with sleeper grime and a bit of, I think it was, what was it, roof dirt or something I added. But you can do more to it. You can add sort of weathering powders, make it look like you've got rusty springs. You can bring out some of the detailing. Also, the original wheels have got very deep flanges, and they tend to short some of the points as they go across the frogs. Not always, but they do quite often. If you're not, sometimes you can lacquer the wheel sort of on the sort of extreme of the flange, and that stops it doing it for a while till the lacquer wears away. But you can also purchase, I think they're £3 a pair, so they're not cheap, and I did purchase some new wheels for Lima bogies by Peter Spares, but they aren't cheap when you start doing 2 pairs per coach, you know, £6 to update a coach like this. So you sometimes can get away with the old wheels if you put a bit of lacquer in the right place to stop them shorting. And what is it? So we put this back on the coach. So this coach will gov, I haven't weathered yet, and what I've been doing is adding some panel lining. It's like an accent that you can get hold of, or you can I think Humber will do one, and it's like a watered down enamel paint, and you can just add it to all the sort of shuttering of the doors and everything, and then you can sort of add little blobs at the I forget what it's called, but the rail at the top, and you can just pull them down, and you can create quite a dirty look on a coach, because a lot of these Govs, especially the blue ones, they didn't look very blue in service. They were covered in muck. But you know, you don't always want to go too far with the weathering, but in this case they were filthy, so to make it look right, they should be barely noticeable that they're blue, really. And as most people say, I've got one I did earlier, and if I put the bogie back on it, that is what I'm looking for to do to the coach you've just seen. Sort of a nice sort of dirty sort of spray over the airbrush, not going too mad, but enough just to show that it's been in service for years and nobody's cleaned it. So that's what I'm going to do with the Gov you've just seen. So I could do a bit of that on camera now. First of all, adding the highlighting to the shuttering on the doors. So you just put the panel lining, which is by Tamiya in this case, but you can get Humbrol versions, and it just highlights the various detail and also dirties up some of the paintwork just to take that toy look away. And then it's off to the shed for a bit of spraying, really. As I said, I was trying to catch up with some of my weathering, and you see me weathering my executive HST. I didn't go over the top, as you may have noticed. I'm very nervous to over weather things, and to you on camera it may not even look like it's been weathered much at all. but believe you me, in real life there's definitely a difference, and mainly to the underframe and the roof. I don't like to ruin the liveries, as when they're in service they were kept pretty clean. I'm now back from the shed, and my probably final purchase of a Lima Gov is now weathered. It's a little bit soft to paint, so you need to be careful and let it dry. But I find one of the best places to let it dry is actually on the layout, and possibly with the trains travelling round, as you got airflow over it, and this does sort of speed up the drying times. But you don't have to do this. You can put it aside and leave it for 12-24 hours and it will dry. You can also sort of seal it with some satin varnish if you want, or if you're going to put transfers on, you can gloss it and then satin varnish it to protect the weathering. I don't always varnish my stock. I don't handle them too much, and I try not to damage the weathering, and they normally stand the test of time. But as I've already previously mentioned, you may not see some of the weathering. It is quite subtle, as I don't like to overdo it, even with a postal Gov like this, where it's going to get filthy. But if I put them alongside each other over here, and I'll bring the camera around to have a look, they start to look quite good. This is the first Gov I showed you before I went out to the shed, which I've already weathered, and the one I've just done is this one connected to it, and this has got a whole sort of individual look of its own. It's still filthy, but possibly not quite as filthy as the one next to it, and it's nice to have a variation. Richard of Everard Junction was really good at this, and it was him who sort of gave me sort of the confidence to have a go at doing weathering. And he always used to say about having individual coaches, try not to make them all look the same, which is true of real life, isn't it? So I'm quite happy with him, and they'll be running around the layout in not too long a time. I did mention that I've been having a go at some kits that are outstanding that I've got, and I've put these off for a while because I didn't really have the time to do them. And I had a go at this kit by Preza, I think you pronounce it, I'm not sure. It's a German manufacturer, and it's scaffolding. I bought this when I was doing my bridge for the station, and I thought I'd put scaffolding up the side. But when I worked out how difficult it was to make and how time consuming it was going to be, I gave up on the idea and just shelved it. Anyway, I had a go at this, and I had to sort of improvise. Here's the result. I had to improvise, as for some reason they don't give you what they show you in the picture. Well, as far as I could see, there's only 2 sections, and then I had a whole sort of end section that was missing, so I had to adapt it from other parts in the kit, because the kit also allows you to make up a couple of these if you want, sort of towers, which are quite handy for putting next to your locos and stuff. I've still got to sort of paint the boards, but most of it is now sprayed silver, and probably could do with a bit of rusting up. But yeah, I had to sort of improvise on the end and make another end piece out of some of the spare bits of these. I only wanted one of these anyway. But yeah, after a lot of fuffing around, it's okay. But boy is it fiddly to make. Placed outside a building or up the side of a building like this, it does start to look quite good and adds a lot of interest. And once you put people on this, I'm sure it will be an eye-catching thing on the layout. So I think it's worth making, but you need some time and patience to make this kit. What I also had as a kit to make up was a gas holder, or I know them as a gasometer, from many years ago. This country doesn't tend to store gas now, which is, you know, a bad thing, I think, and adds to the price of energy in our country. But yeah, years ago they used to store what were frames with big balloons in, and this kit by Modlex, or Modlux actually, is another fiddly kit, and I've been putting this off making this. I kept looking at it and it looked very complicated, but actually when you start building it, it's not that complicated at all. It's just repetition, and I went for the version that is deflated, so you've got like the base with pipes in, that is to show that the gas holder is deflated. I thought this gave a better appearance because, you know, you get to see all the metalwork and see through the metalwork. It's quite a big kit, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. There's not a lot of space on the layout at the moment. I did wonder maybe I'll put it over here. If I shoot over here where I've got a pylon, if I was to remove the pylon, I've got an area on top here that I could place it, I suppose, and that might look quite reasonable. But the only thing is it will be on top of a tunnel, and I don't know if that would look right. But so far that's the only area I can think of putting it. But yeah, it was a nice kit, and I'm going to work on putting it somewhere because I think it will add some sort of depth and interest to the layout. Another job I've been doing is pre-wiring some of the lamps I've got, also street lamps which are in this box, as I'm going to continue to light up the layout. I do need to light up the roadway that goes over to the village and the village in turn, so I thought I'd take some time to wire up some of these with resistors on the end so they're ready to go, and hopefully long enough to go underneath the layout and connect up. If not, I shall extend them, but they will have resistors already in place, so they can't be damaged should I, connect them up. So that was just another little job I've been doing. I've also been catching up with weathering some of my other locos. I had this 37 that needed weathering and I've made this sort of reasonably dirty. It still looks like it's in service and not on the scrap heap, but in this class 44, as this is getting on a bit in my time era, this looks quite filthy, and I think it's come out alright. Adds a bit of realism to it. And class 24 behind this, which is also getting on a bit in the era I model, so, and would be, well, not really being used, would be just a backup somewhere, possibly going out of service, if not already out of service actually. And then I bit the bullet, even though I didn't really want to weather my Curoscale 50s. I thought, they just don't look real unless you at least weather the underframes. So I kept it pretty clean. I kept the logos pretty clean. I don't want anything that ruins the livery, but the underframes now look like they should be real rather than just shiny plastic. And there's a bit of, on the buffer beam, there's a bit of weathering, but I've not gone nuts with it. And round the exhaust, just a small amount of soot. So looks pretty much brand new, not long come out of the factory. And I did my other Acura scale, very similar, my Royal Oak in Network South East livery, which you'll see going in a minute. I have a run in with the mail train that I've been weathering. These were all jobs that I've been meaning to catch up with for quite a long time, so it's been good sort of tying up loose ends and completing most of the weathering of the stock on the layout. I also weathered my new version Bachmann Class 37 rail freight, and sort of made it look fairly weathered, but not went over the top with it. I don't really want to ruin it. I want it to look like it's in service and been doing a bit of work. Another loco I just lately weathered was this Class 31 Bachmann as well, and rail freight. I did weather quite heavily. It is a new model, and I didn't know whether to sort of get it as grimy as this, but yeah, in the end I decided it should look a little bit filthy, so that's what I went for. And if I can run the train as well as hold the camera, I'll get her to pull away. And she's pulling the mail train. I'll say goodbye and see you again next time, and I'll leave you some footage to play the video out. Cheers, bye for now.